Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, Mike Lindell sent me a note yesterday. He has a special for the 6-piece towel set, $25 when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com, use promo code Joey. You'll get the $25 offer on the 6-piece towel set, and I promise you, these will be the most comfortable, the most absorbent towels that you own. mypillow.com, use promo code Joey, get the 6-piece towel set for just $25. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Last night's much-anticipated debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris was no disappointment. It had its highlights and a few missed opportunities on both sides. We have a full analysis for you and what everyone's saying about the first debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. And will it be the last? Will there be another? The Harris campaign immediately called for round two after last night's debate. Fox News announced that they had again issued a formal invitation. Let's see if Harris accepts the invite. It's official. Taylor Swift is officially backing Kamala Harris in the 2024 presidential race. The artist made the announcement moments after Harris wrapped up her debate with Donald Trump. And on this September the 11th, let's remember the terrorist attacks on our country and how it has changed our country forever. Welcome to the special 9/11 broadcast.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
The Washington Times wrote after last night's debate, quote, debates are much about style as substance, and Ms. Harris presented her case for the presidency calmly and confidently without letting Mr. Trump's insults rattle her. Instead, she managed to get under Mr. Trump's skin repeatedly with barbs that often drifted into personal attacks. Now, this was the consensus among a number of conservative publications. Yes, those who even support Donald Trump. Many are admitting that Kamala Harris did better than expected and that President Trump probably did worse than expected. But as I told the group last night at our debate watch party, and boy, did we have a great time. Enjoyed seeing so many people there. Those of you in the upstate of South Carolina who were able to join us, thank you. It was a lot of fun in downtown Greenville. But one of the things I said to the group last night before the debate even started is that Donald Trump did not stand a chance any way you look at it. Trump was debating Kamala Harris, and the ABC moderators, he was debating them too, David Muir and Lindsey Davis. It was like he was having to debate three different people. And I said that up front, that there was no way Donald Trump was going to win last night. Even if he did, the mainstream media is going to spin it that, oh, Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump. Kamala Harris out-debated Donald Trump. And yes, the moderators successfully manipulated the questions and failed to press Ms. Harris to answer questions on key issues. Again, Trump did not stand a chance. For example, the moderators rarely asked tough questions of Ms. Harris, if at all, while hitting Mr. Trump with questions seemingly calculated to get a rise out of him. It's like they were helping her bait him, like revisiting the results of the 2020 election. Who cares about the 2020 elections? And I will give it to Trump on that front by saying, hey, we got to move on. Just like when they tried to bait him with the race issue, asking him what he meant by talking about Kamala Harris being black. And he very clearly said, I don't care. I don't care what color she is. And he made the point that he was just acknowledging that it was she who seemed to be running away from her black heritage. But again, those questions would have never come up if you had not had moderators who were trying to lay traps, landmines for Donald Trump. And I'm sorry to say, and I love the guy, I'm sorry to say he fell for a lot of them. But you have to look on the other hand, too. The bar was so low for Kamala Harris, who's still kind of introducing herself to a lot of voters. It was so low that she was able to obtain the bar fairly easily, coming across as someone who can rise to the moment. There were a number of kumbaya moments when she goes down the path of talking about her middle-class background and her struggling mom raising her, trying to make us believe that she's just one of us, that we're all the same. And we all know that we're not. We all know that she's not one of us. The Washington Times wrote, "There's a lot to dislike about Ms. Harris's agenda, vague as it is. She insists that she won't ban natural gas fracking, a claim that perhaps 5 people in America believe." I would challenge you to find 5 who believe that. They go on to write, after pairing herself with a very unpopular president for nearly 4 years, she didn't articulate any significant policies where she would differ from him. And see, that's the point. The moderators had a great opportunity last night to do a service to Americans. And that was try to pin Kamala Harris down on so many of the issues that she has flip-flopped on. Did they do it? No, they did not. Now, they tried to fact-check Donald Trump on a number of times. Number of different occasions, they almost very aggressively went after Donald Trump, fact-checking him, calling him out. They didn't do the same to Kamala Harris. But, again, Trump didn't stand a chance. So there's no need for us to whine and whine, continue to whine about how unfair it was. Donald Trump knew what he was going into. We all did. And he got exactly that. He had his moments. He started out pretty strong, quickly. But then the moderators turned on him. He wasted time defending at times the size of his rallies. Again, kind of falling for bait that Harris had tossed his way. Nobody cares necessarily about the size of his rallies. We love them. But those undecided voters out there, they don't care that 10,000 people or 20,000 or 30,000 filled up an arena in Arizona last week to see him. And I guess my frustration, and yes, I was a little frustrated with Donald Trump. I am frustrated because as many of you expressed in some of your text messages that I'll share with you a little later today, we want to win. And it's kind of like, you know, you've got your kids playing Little League Baseball, and you want them to win so badly, and they drop the ball. They miss a catch or they strike out, and you're just pulling for them just to do a little better, and they just don't have it in them in that game. And that's kind of how people felt last night with Donald Trump. He just missed it. He couldn't overcome the obstacles that were put in front of him, and they were great. Trump knew the winning themes to hit: inflation, record illegal immigration, crime. But he never really got back on track with a consistent message on any of those topics. Now, whether that was due to moderators' questions that favored Kamala Harris, or he just couldn't stand taking Harris's insults. Because Trump is a better debater than he showed last night. The Trump that we saw in June against Joe Biden did not show up last night. He rallied a bit in his closing argument, asking Ms. Harris why she hasn't done some of the things that she's saying that she's going to do now. And see, that's what I was hoping he'd focus on. I was hoping he would just repeat that over and over. Every time she claimed to do something in a very non-aggressive, non-confrontational way, just point out that you've had the chance. You and Joe Biden have had 3.5 years, and you haven't done any of what you say you're going to do now. That's all he had to do. And as I've been saying to you for a couple weeks now, stick to the policy. Policy. Because he can win on that. Now, don't get discouraged. Don't be depressed. Don't throw in the towel and think this is it, because it's not it. It's far from being over. And even Doug Schoen, a well-known Democrat operative, I'm going to share with you an opinion piece that he wrote last night. Even he admitted that, yes, Donald Trump didn't do so well. Kamala Harris probably did better, but don't count him out. Don't count him out. I'd love to get your comments. Many of you have already sent me text messages, emails. What do you think? Did Trump, did he maybe do a little better than I think he did? Or do you agree with me that he could have done better? It wasn't his best debate performance. But again, it's not over. It's not over till the fat lady sings. And the fat lady, she's not even warming up yet. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. PhD Weight Loss wants you to know, yes, you can. You can get back to your ideal healthy weight. Yes, you can get back into sizes you thought you'd never see again. And yes, you can get rid of that harmful belly fat, all without becoming dependent on medication loaded with side effects. Hi, it's Joey Hudson here. PhD Weight Loss encourages and equips you to lose weight the healthy, natural way and keep it all for the rest of your life. Dr. Ashley Lucas, a licensed registered nutritionist, developed a solid plan that works. Trust me, I lost 30 pounds. You see, PhD Weight Loss removes the guesswork. They literally tell you exactly what to eat each day while you watch the pounds melt away. But they also teach you to think about food differently and to learn to anticipate and navigate situations that make you want to indulge. PhD coaches will teach you to believe finally that yes, you can do it. With no gimmicks or lifelong medications, finally lose the weight and keep it off. Yes, you can. Call today. PhD Weight Loss, 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com. As we continue today's show, let's pause for just a moment from our discussion on last night's debate on this September 11th. Yes, there's a lot more to talk about last night, but let's take a moment and remember what happened on this day in 2001 when 4 U.S. airliners were hijacked in a coordinated attack by the terrorist organization Al-Qaeda. This was an attack on the United States, crashing into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York, the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and that area outside of Shanksville, Pennsylvania. A day where 2,977 Americans got up, went to work like they had been doing every day, and they were killed. Our nation was brought into war. Let me encourage you today, take some time and remember that day. Remember where you were. Remember who you're with. And if you are too young to remember, if you were just a child or maybe not even born, do a little research. Read about September 11th, 2001. Find a website, and there's a lot of them out there. Look at some photos of people who were affected by that horrible terrorist attack on that day. Pray for our country. Remember the unity that we experienced that day. We came together as a country. We came together to beat a common enemy. And we can do that again. So take a moment today, look back at what happened, and pray for our country. Pray that we can again obtain that unity that we shared immediately following those attacks. Now, back to the debate. So what was said last night, as the Washington Times wrote in their opinion, and keep in mind, they're a fairly conservative publication, so, and they more often than not support Donald Trump. I think they gave an honest assessment. So what was said last night, and let's just take a few examples, and then you decide. Early on in the debate, Trump accused Kamala Harris of copying his philosophy because she said he said that she has no policies. And that's kind of true, because we didn't even know what her policies were until Monday when she finally put them on her website. That's a discussion we had in yesterday's show. If you missed it, go back and listen to it on the podcast, just wherever you listen to podcasts, if you missed yesterday's show. Trump said that Harris is a Marxist, and she is, who will govern far to the left despite campaigning to the political center, trying to change her position on some of the policies. She was pandering to the American people. When I got home last night, Peg and I were talking about the debate, and Peg brought that up. She said, she's pandering to the American people, isn't she? And she did. Trump accused the vice president of copying his policy proposals to eliminate tax on tips, for example. The former president proposed a policy on June 9th at a rally. Ms. Harris introduced the idea at an August 10th rally, thinking that the American people were just that stupid. One of the lines that was classic last night was when Trump said that Harris had adopted so many of his policies. He called her out on it and said that he even thought about sending her a MAGA cap at one point.
Because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
And everything he just said is correct. Harris reversed her position against constructing a wall at the U.S.-Mexico border, expressing support for it in late August, again, because she understands that that's what American people want. During the 2020 presidential election, the vice president called Trump's border wall an un-American idea and a stupid waste of money. That's a quote from her. Now, suddenly, maybe a wall, maybe we need a wall down there, says the border czar, who has been totally inadequate. Harris unveiled a policy page on her campaign that I mentioned a minute ago on Monday, just a day before the debate, over a month after launching her campaign. Her policy proposals did not address her changes in positions since her time as a U.S. Senator and as a 2020 presidential candidate. And when you're on the record like she is, how do you explain that? And the moderators, they didn't help because they didn't press her on any of the sudden changes. So again, ABC let the country down. They had an opportunity last night to be fair to both sides, but to allow the American people to get to know Kamala Harris, and they failed miserably. By the way, did you get the news last night? The big announcement immediately following the debate? That much rumored endorsement from Taylor Swift happened. Immediately following the debate, Taylor Swift, according to People magazine, is officially backing Kamala Harris in this race. The artist made the announcement moments after Harris wrapped up her debate, according to People. In an Instagram post, she wrote, "Like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. If you haven't already, now is a great time to do your research on the issues at hand and the stances these candidates take on the topics that matter to you most. As a voter, I make sure to watch and read everything I can about their proposed policies and plans for this country," she said. She didn't reference the fake AI images that falsely showed her endorsing Trump, who had shared them on Truth Social. She said, it really conjured up my fears around AI and the dangers of spreading misinformation. It brought me to the conclusion that I need to be very transparent about my actual plans for this election as a voter. The simplest way to combat misinformation is with the truth. So there you have it. Now, I'm not sure how many people are going to actually vote for her because some pop star decides she is, but unfortunately, there's probably some low information voters out there who will. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading, you're totally remodeling the kitchen, when it's time to get those new appliances, when you're ready for them, you don't want to have to wait weeks or even months to get started using them, right? Well, that's not the case when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. With over 11,000 square feet and 1,500 appliances at any given time, you can buy today and use today quite often. I'm talking about shopping with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. It's worth the short drive over to Pickens. Jeff, Johnny, Kyle, the whole team over there, they'll take good care of you. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties, and at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they treat you like family. You're more than just a credit card swipe to all the team over there. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor. You owe it to yourself, if you're looking for a new appliance, to head over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. Probably one of the biggest criticisms was how the moderators did not hold Kamala Harris to the same standard that they did Donald Trump. For example, a number of times when Trump would say something, they would call him out if they felt like that their fact-checking did not agree with what his answer was. They didn't do the same thing with Kamala Harris, and they had some great opportunities to do the public service that they should have, that a major network like ABC should have done last night, and getting the truth out for the American voters. I'll give you an example. Vice President Kamala Harris avoided directly addressing her numerous policy changes when moderator Lindsey Davis provided her a great opportunity to do so. But that's just it. The moderators, they didn't hold them equally accountable. They should have pressed Kamala Harris last night to explain her sudden change on issues like fracking, when she's very clearly on the record of banning fracking. Here she is in 2019.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Pretty clear to me, right? Well, in the recent weeks, she has doubled down on the idea that no, she's not opposed to banning fracking now. That she believes that it should be allowed so that people in Pennsylvania can keep their jobs, so that we can increase the oil production. So last night, there was the perfect opportunity during the 90 minutes that they were together for the moderators to get her to explain some of the flip-flops. Here's how the exchange went when Lindsey Davis had the perfect opportunity.
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then file bankruptcy 6 times is a value that I bring to my work, to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting seniors from scams. My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name-calling. The true measure of the leader is the leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president.
So she said in the beginning of her answer that she was going to address every point, but she didn't really. She slipped back into that kumbaya moment to where she wants us to believe that she had a tough childhood, that she comes from just a simple, everyday, middle America background. We all know that's not the truth, but that's what she wanted the independents and the voters last night, the undecideds, who know very little about her by design. And again, she did not address the issues. She just simply talked around them. And the sad part is, it kind of worked. You have to be honest. It kind of worked. Because if you look through the headlines today, you see a lot of very positive headlines. Doug Schoen is a political operative, primarily works for Democrats, but I find him to be somewhat fair as a Democrat can be. He wrote on a Fox News opinion piece last night titled, "In the Trump-Harris face-off, there was a clear winner, but don't believe this election is over." And he goes on to say, "It's pretty clear to me that on Tuesday night, Vice President Kamala Harris won what may be the only debate between herself and former President Donald Trump. The Vice President had some help, too. She was aided and abetted by 2 ABC News moderators who seemingly felt the need to fact-check virtually everything the former president said." And this is what I was saying earlier, because they did. They fact-checked everything Trump did, but they let her just get by with saying whatever she wanted to. Now, keep in mind, this is coming from Doug Schoen, a Democrat operative. He says the former president was clearly frustrated and became more strident and divisive as the nearly 2-hour debate continued. And the vice president appeared to gain renewed confidence as she saw Trump faltering under relentless questioning from herself and moderators David Muir and Lindsey Davis. I mean, he's kind of admitting that Trump was debating 3 people, right? He says, although Harris clearly won the debate, in my estimation, it isn't at all clear that this debate, just 56 days before the election, will fundamentally impact the outcome on November the 5th. And I agree with him wholeheartedly there, and that's what I'm saying today. That's my message today, is don't get discouraged by reading all of these headlines that Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump in the debate last night. Maybe you even watched the debate last night and you kind of agree that she did somewhat better. Sean says, I say that because Trump did speak directly to his base on Tuesday night. His supporters understood, as well as anyone, how much bias ABC News introduced into the process. To be sure, Harris had better answers on abortion, healthcare, climate change, and leadership for the future. That much is clear, but what is also clear is what Trump said in his closing statement remains the case. Voters remain angry about the direction the country is headed in, about the performance of both President Biden and Vice President Harris, as well as which candidates they trust more on the top 2 or 3 issues facing the country: the economy, immigration, and law and order. He writes, my best guess is that Harris will get a slight bump from her performance at this face-off, which had Democrats cheering as soon as Trump began turning harsh and hostile within the first 45 minutes. Yet, he says, elections rarely turn on a dime as completely as they did after the June 27th debate between Trump and President Biden. And while Trump was a seemingly different man on Tuesday night than he was back in June, the points he made were the same. And many voters, indeed a majority of voters, agree with his core assessment of the current state of our nation. And see, that's where I think Trump still has the advantage. Schoen says, I also believe that this is likely to be the last debate that the candidates engage in. For Vice President Harris, the calculus is simple. She will claim victory, her supporters will be emboldened, money will continue to flow into her coffers, and there will be absolutely no reason for her to re-engage in any shape, matter, or form with the former president. I'm afraid he's probably right on that. I hope not. Fox News did issue an invitation immediately following last night's debate. The Harris campaign seemed to reference another debate, as one of her senior campaign aides wrote on X something like, "This was fun, let's do it again," which would lead you to think they're ready for another one. Not so quick, though. I don't think they are. Schoen writes, the Harris campaign may claim that they want a second debate, but it will almost certainly be under conditions that the former president will never agree to. I doubt that Trump would ever go back to ABC, much less NBC or CBS, and the chance that Harris will appear on Fox News is negligible at best. For the former president, the calculation is very different, but reaches the same conclusion. His worst fears were confirmed on Tuesday night. The debate was hardly fair, and absent a debate on Fox News, there's little reason to believe he'll get a fair shake from any other network. He also knows that in both 2016 and 2020 presidential contests, the first one a winning effort and the second one a losing effort, he was able to make up ground with voters separate and apart from any direct confrontation with his opponent. Trump on the campaign trail has a unique and compelling appeal. We've seen proof of that time and time again. Of course, he's referencing the many campaign rallies that Trump has, where he has tens of thousands of people showing up. Schoen says he and his advisors will likely conclude that they can do a lot better with voters by eschewing direct confrontation with Harris. They will do that by sending him out on the campaign trail to do both interviews and rallies. That will be far more effective than taking the risk inherent in a night like the ones we witnessed on Tuesday night. He says it's important to note that Harris did reaffirm for her supporters and potentially swing voters that she is the real deal. She's ready and able to govern. Still, at the same time, doubts about her as the next president of the United States remain strong and clear. Indeed, the great weakness of Trump's performance on Tuesday night was that he failed to underscore the issue of the economy and the contrast between his economic leadership and that of Joe Biden in a way that was clear and accessible to voters. Trump's emphasis on the southern border struck me as over the top, even if the points he was making have wide resonance. Put another way, I'm virtually certain many on the left will proclaim the election over based on Harris's strong performance. That will almost certainly be an exaggeration or an overstatement. Your comments are welcome on the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Firmin Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Firmin Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you could trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Firmin Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Firmin, Matthew Firmin. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Firmin Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Firmin Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Firmin Ford online at firminford.com, firminford.com. Continuing today's show, you know how much I appreciate your text messages and your emails, joey@joeyhudson.com. So what did you think about last night? Jennifer writes a kind of lengthy text, but let me share it with you. Okay, here's the deal. Now, Jennifer happened to be at our debate watch party last night. Full disclosure, she and I talked about the debate prior to it starting. Here's her assessment after the fact via a text. She says, here's the deal. Read it or don't read it. I don't care. Well, I'm going to read it, Jennifer. She says, I have a low burn anger because I said a long time ago and continue to say, I want to win. Whatever that means, I want to win, and I still don't know if Donald Trump can win. In parentheses, she says, how would DeSantis have done tonight? We'll never know because Donald Trump is our nominee. She says, Trump doesn't understand that being likable is important. He doesn't understand that you can't say certain reckless things that give sound bites to your opponents to misuse against you. If we lose, it's Donald Trump's fault, she put in all caps. Jennifer writes, you know it and we all know it. Say it out loud or don't say it. I don't care. Trump, I believe in Trump. I'm going to vote for Trump. But I see how his personal faults hurt us so much. And I've seen it forever. I told Andy in 2016, Andy is her husband, he is a narcissist and it will always be trouble. But maybe there will be people still like you and like me and your listeners who will vote Trump in. I hope so. I pray for that victory. And we all do. We all do. And I think Jennifer is expressing her frustration, the same frustration that we talked about a little earlier in today's show, that we all want to win so badly and we want him to do well. And when we know he's not doing well, it makes us crazy because we know he can win and we know he can govern and we know what he can do for our country. Susan writes on the text line, Susan from Hartwell, I could barely listen to the debate because of how Cackle talked through her nose. It was really irritating. She does have sort of an irritating voice, doesn't she? Ace writes, Joey, are you hearing this junk? This woman is so ridiculous. My wife asked me, how could anyone take her seriously? I told her, because they're stupid. Now, Ace, we're not supposed to call people stupid. Nana Hudson says you don't call people names, but you're right. It's going to take some stupid people to vote for her. Christy says, I know you're watching this tonight. Does this feel like a setup or what? They put Trump on the defensive from the first comment with Harris and these so-called commentators, and he's not stepped out effectively. This is not what I was expecting. We should be worried. Please tell me I'm wrong. You're wrong, Christy. You're wrong. I hate to tell you, but you are. Actually, I'm happy to tell you that you're wrong because, again, let's not get too downcast. Let's not get depressed because, again, as I told our group at the debate watch party last night, this election is pretty simple. It comes down to the economy. It comes down to the fact that in the New York Times Siena poll that was released last Sunday, 60% of the people said the economy was the most important issue to them. A recent CBS poll said that 8 out of 10 people who polled, including Democrats, said that the economy was the most important issue to them, even above abortion and immigration. Who's best at the economy? A lot of polls also show that Americans trust Donald Trump with the economy. They also know that before Joe Biden and Kamala Harris moved into the White House, that basket of groceries that was $120 has gone up to about $182 now, in some areas of the country even more, a 21% inflation rate on groceries. So it's very simple. This election is going to come down to the economy. It's going to come down to inflation and the cost of your groceries. James Carville said it best, it's the economy, stupid. It's the economy, stupid. Chris says, Joey, I don't know how you do it, brother. I watched the first 25 minutes of the debate, and I had to turn it off. I was so mad that I wanted to reach through the TV and strangle Kamala, and her voice just makes me think of the sound fingernails used to make on an old chalkboard. She's nothing but a liar and a phony. And see, that's the other thing that made all of us so frustrated, is we knew she was lying. We know that she can't do what she claimed she was going to do. But she said it anyway. And to that uneducated voter, many of them are going to believe it. But again, not enough. Not enough. Because that same voter still knows what a gallon of milk costs. That same voter still knows what they're having to pay for gasoline. They still know the struggle it is to pay their rent and pay their other bills. And a majority of people, poll after poll after poll, has proven a majority of Americans, even Democrats, believe that Donald Trump is better equipped to deal with the economy. Stupid. Faye writes, Joey, this has been a busy day for me, so I'm leaving the debate with you. I'll listen to you at 5 in the morning. Thank you, Joey, for doing the dirty work. Well, yes, I watched the entire thing with our great group of people in downtown Greenville, Faye, so you didn't have to. Texter says, good morning, Joey. Although no written notes were allowed at the debate, I'll bet Kamala had a discreet ear mic with an aide whispering answers. You think so? You know, I did find myself looking at her ears to see if I could see anything that looked like some type of listening device. I didn't see it. She had on earrings. I didn't see any listening device. Look, we have to admit, she is a former prosecutor, which she keeps reminding us of. Prosecutors are typically good debaters because they have to present their cases in front of a judge and in front of a jury. She proved that correct last night. What are others saying? Well, a whole list of people. Lindsey Graham on X says, Kamala Harris can gaslight the American people all she wants, but here's the reality. 13 families of American heroes are without a loved one today due to the colossal failure of the Biden-Harris withdrawal from Afghanistan. Ben Carson slammed the ABC debate moderators. He said, we deserve better. Also on X, he wrote, in a time of great strife for our nation and the world, we all deserve better than David Muir and ABC. Thankfully, President Trump continues to cut through the deceit and prove that Comrade Kamala is a serious and imminent threat to the future of our republic. Trump 2020 Communications Director Tim Murtaugh wrote, Harris is straight up lying about fracking while standing in Pennsylvania. As California AG, she opposed fracking so much that she sued the Obama administration to stop fracking off the coast of California. She does not suddenly support it. Again, let me share with you Harris on stage claiming she would never support banning fracking. Here she is in her own words.
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking.
Others also called out ABC last night. Conservative radio host Buck Sexton said the ABC moderators are fact-checking incorrectly and in such a shockingly obvious one-sided way that Trump enduring the ambush as well as he is a win. This debate has been a total sham. Questions are all attacks on Trump. It's 3-on-1 outrageous. I think you get the idea. A lot of people unhappy with the way last night's debate was handled. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Just click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, find me on YouTube. Be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on my YouTube channel. Just search for Joey Hudson. Appreciate you spending a few minutes of your day with me. Be sure and forward this edition of Just the Truth to some friends. Just click on the share button. Send it to a few of your contacts, because if we're going to build our community and if we're going to win in November, we got to build an army of conservatives. The way we beat Joe Biden is through educating people, and no better way than encouraging them to listen to Just the Truth. Hey, keep those comments coming via the Firmin Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your emails always welcome as well. Joey@joeyhudson.com. Don't forget to take advantage of the MyPillow special, $25 for the My Towels 6-piece towel set when you use promo code Joey. Just go to mypillow.com. Always use promo code Joey. We're back again tomorrow. Hope you will be too. Remember, God's got this. He's still in control.